Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be going over my reading tracker alternative that I use to Goodreads. I do use Goodreads. I use Goodreads pretty much every single day. I use this reading tracker in tandem with Goodreads because I like to have this keeping all of my more detailed information that Goodreads doesn't track for you. If you have seen any of my wrap-ups over the last 3 months, or it's been longer than that now. Basically, any of my wrap-ups in 2022, I do stats at the beginning before I go into the wrap-up. This is where I get that data, and then I go and create the actual graphics that you see there somewhere else. I have been keeping stats for a long time now. I used to keep them in an Excel sheet, but I wasn't in love with that process. And then I moved to a physical journal, which I really enjoyed, and I did that for a few months, but I didn't like how unflexible it was with me needing to update things when I was out of town or out and about. So I stopped keeping a physical journal and I started using something called Notion, which is a website that a lot of people are probably familiar with. It is a great tracker. A lot of people use it for school resources, but I started using it to keep my reading tracker. And I'm not the only person. This isn't like some crazy new thought that I've had, but I wanted to take you through and show you all how I use my Notion and how I have it set up. I have been using it, I believe somewhere in early 2021 is when I started. So over a year now, over a year and a half now actually, but I did go back and update it a little bit for 2020. So I have some statistics in here from that year as well. And I'm just going to show you guys all of the pages that I keep and all the different things I track. And I will actually show you live what it's looking like right now. So there is going to be some information in here I won't be graying out that will give you guys some hints as to some future plans that I have on this channel. Okay, so this is what my homepage looks like, and it just says Amanda's reading tracker, books all in one place. I have 4 columns, as you can see. The first column starts with just moon phases, and it's just something that I like to kind of keep like in mind. For some reason, I don't know, to be completely honest. I do keep this app on my computer and on my phone, so I can access this Notion anywhere that I'm at. Underneath the moon tracker, I have a filming schedule, which I will not be showing you. We will be just going into my like more bookish related stuff. And then I have filming ideas, weekly schedule, and then there's a tab right here called Abortion. So that is where I plan and track all of my readathons that I host for my book club. Then I have a column called 2022, and I'll show you most of what's in 2022. I have a column that's called 2021, and then I have a column called Life. Underneath that is Magical Readathon, and underneath that is 2020. So I do participate in a lot of readathons, and the reason why Magical Readathon has its own like column and other ones don't is because that is going to be an ongoing long readathon that will span a long. And if you're keeping track up here, my 2022 and 2021 have like a little divider. Everything above the divider is stuff that I will be consistently using throughout the year. Anything below the divider is broken up into the monthly trackings. And you can also see underneath the 2021 that I have January through June do not have 2 tabs. That is because starting in July last year, I started using 2 different like pages to keep things tracked. Underneath the Life tab, I keep a tracker for all of the books that I own and have not read. My 5-star predictions, I did a video, I think it was over a year ago now at this point, where I made some 5-star predictions. I will show you each of these though in a little bit. I keep secret TBRs, and then I keep intimidating reads, which is technically a secret TBR, but because it is a very specialized video that I do every single year, we're about to come up on my 3rd year doing it, I do let it have its own tab, and then it is also linked into secret TBRs. I keep a buddy read calendar and a book club calendar, although the book club calendar is more of like a list. So first off, I'm going to take you guys through just 2022's information, and then we're going to skip 2021, we're going to skip Magical Readathon, and we're going to skip 2020, and then I will take you into my life trackers a little bit. The first tab at the very top is called books I read in 2022. And so this list is actually not the complete list because I use filters. And so let me see what it looks like when I remove the filter. This is every single book that I have read and finished in 2022. And it is kind of a long list. This is what I am looking at and referencing when I am doing my wrap-ups every single month. And then also if I have to talk about a book later on, sometimes I'll come back here and I'll leave little notes in this little section here. So I leave the filter on because it's way too much for me to be looking at all times. So I just have the filter on unchecked wrap up. So I know at the end of the month, once I have done my wrap up, I just check these boxes and then all the books that I've wrapped up for that month are checked off and I don't have to worry about looking at them this following month. So the things that I track on this page are whether or not I think a book is going to be a favorite of the year, whether or not I've wrapped it up, whether or not I finished it. I have that tab and it really could be deleted because I was originally going to count DNFs on this page as well so that I could count the page count or the audio count towards my final monthly wrap up. And then sometime in January, I decided I didn't like that. And so I went back to my old system, which was having a DNF tracker, which I will be showing you, of course. So I really just need to delete this column, to be honest. Let's just do it right now. Then I keep the title of the book. I used to keep title and author name. I no longer care about author name. And then my rating, which I will show you in 2 seconds how I get my ratings. I used to track the day I start a book and the day I finished a book. When I came into 2022, I realized that gave me way too much anxiety trying to make it as short as possible. So now I only track the day I finished. I track the genre, and this is a tab where I have to select one item. There is a one select or a multi-select option. And so here, these are all of the options that I have available to me. I do not track subgenres anymore. I used to, and it was just too much work. Now all I care about is the main genre. So if I were here and I were to say oh, this book, Forest of Souls, is actually more of a sci-fi, it's the only one that will be selected. I track age. My options are middle grade, young adult, new adult, or adult. That's pretty self-explanatory. Next, I track whether I read it physically, through audiobook, or through ebook. And then if I have read it through multiple ways, which I often will read a book physically and with the audio, I will check multiple ones. You can see I could do that. And then I keep the counter down here at the bottom so that I can get my stats much easier at the end of the month. And then I track pages and hours. Hours listened to, I just put the whole audiobook, and then at the end of the month, I get this number and I divide it by 2, and I just make my best estimation as to how many hours I've listened to, because most of them I'm listening at ×2 speed, but some of them it's faster or slower. Now, this information at the end is mostly for me to keep track of, sometimes at the end of the month, but a lot of it is for at the end of the year check-ins. So a lot of what I'm tracking is to just help me keep things on track, make sure that I'm meeting my goals. So I track if I read it, was it owned, or was it a library, or was it an ARC? So basically how I received the book. And sometimes owned and library will both be checked, because if I physically own it or if I audiobook own it and then I get the other edition from my library, that's important for me to know. And then if it is a reread or not, so I like to track that. I like to know how many rereads I do a year, and I like to see how they change from year to year. If I retried the book, so if I picked it up and then put it on pause or DNF'd it and then decided to pick it up a second time, I like to track that because I like to know whether or not I should actually have finished the book or not. And if there are so many over time that I'm seeing that 90% of the time when I retry a book, I'm hating it, then maybe I should stop retrying books and I should listen to myself. If I read a book for my book club, which as you can see this month, I have not done yet. If I read a book for a buddy read, which as you can see this month, I have not done yet. Or if I read a book specifically for a video, so not for a weekly reading vlog, I just like to track that because I like to be seeing if I'm reading more books for the purpose of YouTube or if I'm reading more books just because I want to read them. And then we can go down and we can see I keep a tracker here. This one's going to be really quick, is favorites of the year. And so each month I just come in here, and when I think a book is going to be a favorite, I put it on this list, and then at the end of the year, it's really easy for me to come back and be like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and then do my video for that. In the past, let me show you briefly what the favorite of 2021 looked like, because it looks very different in the sense of every single month I was having 3, 4, sometimes even more books making it on the favorites list every single month. And then this month I'm doing the same exact thing and I'm barely getting 1 some months. Now I go into DNFs of 2022. Here is a good way for you guys to see how I track these. So I have all of these in case you want to see them really quickly. I have the book's name, how much of the book I finished. I do it in percentages, not in page numbers. So even if I did physically read it, I put it into kind of a percent. I track which month I DNF'd it in because I like to see if there's a certain month, like March, where I'm DNFing more than other months, what I think my rating would have been if I had finished it, and then a little blurb as to why I DNF'd the book. This mostly is for me to do my ratings at the end of the year. Up next, I have my reading goals, and this has a sub page, which is the page that you saw right underneath it, which is the 22 books I want to read in 2022. So let me show you what a sub page looks like. So this is the main page. And as you scroll down, I've read that now. As you scroll down, everything is bulleted out, and then this is a sub page. So I made this a different page. I can go to it if I click on it here, and I can just see the page, or I can go back and view it all together because I wanted the 22 to read in 2022 to be its own thing, but I also wanted to be able to access that chart from my goals page for the year so I could keep track of all of them together. I have done a video on all of these goals, so I won't be going into them in depth, but basically as I finish things, I come and check them off, as you just saw I did with the Dragon Reborn. So I have actually read The House of Always as well, and then once I've read all of the books in a series, I'll check that off completely. I am not going to show you each of these individually, but I will show you April and I will show you May so that you can see what a finished one looks like and what a currently working on one looks like. So let's look at April first. I like to have just little emojis so that I can kind of like keep them different from each other. These do not get different emojis because these pages are all exactly the same, and these pages are embedded into the months pages. So I don't even actually click on this ever. I just go here. This is April. April is finished already, as you may know. And when you get here, this is what my page looks like. And then this down here, this tracker is that page that I didn't show you before. So it is just a chart. I like having it as its own page so I can get to it and link it and everything, but it just sits here at the bottom and it has categories for no status, which means that I want to read that book this month, but it's not part of my TBR. My TBR, what I'm currently reading, all the books I have read and all the books I have DNF'd, and I leave this alone as soon as I finish the month. So this is where April finished. As of the last day of April, this is what my month looked like. But this is where I get some of that information that I put into those charts. So at the beginning of the month, I put starting statistics as to all of my books, how many I've owned, how many I have that are ARCs, how many I've pre-ordered, how many I've paused, and how many I'm currently reading. And then I put the statistics for the end of the month. And this is something I'm tracking throughout the year so that hopefully I can watch those numbers go down. ARCs, I don't mind if they fluctuate a little bit, but I would like them to be a little bit lower than they are. And then underneath that, I track how many books I've hauled and which books I have hauled. And if I were to haul a book and then also read it this month, it would get a little check. But I did not read any of the books I hauled this month, so I did not get to check them. Also, I put little numbers here so that if I hauled a book that is a pre-order, I know, well, I couldn't have gotten to it because it literally wasn't published when I bought it. And then I keep a running tracker. This page gets just duplicated when I make a new page, and so I keep this tracker of books I want to buy, and this actually changed, but I changed it in May. So this release date is different now, but it wasn't different at this time, so I don't update any of this. And so these are books that I want to buy, I want to purchase. Anytime that I'm thinking about buying books, I come here first and look through them. Normally, I have book club and buddy reads, and I put dates next to them as to when we are going to be reading those books. Sometimes the dates are literally just, I have the entire month to read them. Sometimes they are very specific. Sometimes they have a starting date, and I don't have an ending date. It all depends on the book club or buddy read. Normally, Magical Readathon is not here. It was because I did it in April, and I like this because you can see if I take part in a readathon, this is what it would look like. I would just put the books right here. And then I usually have one that's called TBR, I will show you what it looks like in May, but right now it has other, so these are just books I was hoping to get to that weren't part of any planned getting to. Then I have upcoming video prep. So if a video needs to be, like if I have to do something that's going to take a lot of work for a video in the future, I like to put it here so that I'm not forgetting about it. Right now, I don't have to worry about any because I am like so far prepped with videos that I'm not worried about anything until the end of June, I don't think it is. This month's videos, and as I edit and upload, I check them off, and then I have next month's videos, which I don't touch, but I like to have them there so I can see like what's coming up. This little handy dandy tracker on the side is one of my pride and joys. I love tracking which books I read every single day. I don't necessarily care about how much I read every single day. I just like seeing what books I read on every single day. So this tracker allows me to just put in what book I read that day, and you can see like this is the first, and I read The Family Upstairs. This is the second, I read Pieces of Her. These are also in order. So on the 3rd, I woke up and the first book I read that day was Pieces of Her, and the second book I read was the mime order. And you can just go through the whole entire month. Sometimes the colors have to be reused because I read too many books for the color options. And then I also do include books that I DNF. So sometimes books only get like one little slot because I read it for one day and then I DNF'd it. And what's really fun is you get to see at the end, like if I didn't read, which this month the only day I didn't read on was the 16th and the 30th, I can see that. And so I that's just for me. You can also hover over here and quickly get to pages if I wanted to. So let's go to May and look at what a currently reading one looks like. So you can see here in May that I have been having a hard time with reading. There have been quite a few days that I haven't been able to read this month, but I'm picking back up again. You can see I came in with my stats, but my ending stats have not been written in because I don't have any ending stats. You can see what book club and buddy reads I'm going to be working on, and you can see since I haven't crossed any out when I am supposed to be reading each of these. Gotta get to this one tomorrow. And then you can also see what TBR-opoly normally looks like here. So this is my actual TBR game, and normally it is right here. And as I read them, I check them off. And then I have other books listed that I'd like to read, or for whatever reason, I need to be getting to. Videos that I've done this month, as you can see, how I track my reading is what we are currently working on. And then videos next month, which some of these have changed, so I will need to update them. My currently reading, as you can see, this is what it looks like. As I go, what I just do is like if I finish Gone Girl, I will just drag it over underneath the reading and it just keeps everything in track. TBR, currently reading, read. Pretty simple, right, my dudes? Okay, so now we can look at my little life tracker over here. I have my intimidating reads list. So first off, if you stop the video, you're gonna be able to see the entire video that I have planned for July. I'm going to move past it quickly, but if you wanted to, you could go and read that list. Here I keep all the books in July of 2020. I said I created, I think it was 10 or 12 books. I think it was 12 books that I was intimidated by, but I really wanted to read in the next year and whether or not I read them. And then I did a vlog of me reading all of those books. And then in 2021, I did the same thing. So I am working on finishing these up as we speak. And then I am working on making the list for this year. So this year is going to be a little bit different though. I'm really excited about it. And then I have my secret TBR. So this is where I keep track of all the books that I need to read because I have either started a video with them or I am planning to do a video with them, or I just think it would be a really good idea and I keep it here for when I just want to be starting a new video. So I keep a calendar here. This is my filming schedule. You can go to it from here, but I'm not going to go to it because you don't need to see that right now. This is done in a really interesting way. So everything underneath the calendar is for videos that I have finished. And I check off once I finish it. That makes sense. Everything in the middle is for just ideas. I haven't actually started this. I haven't actually executed it. I thought it would be a good idea. I might have changed my mind. I might not have, but I leave them here. Like the Grady Hendrix, I was going to do that video and then I decided I didn't actually want to read any of his books. So I just leave it here in case one day I decide I actually do want to go forward and do that video. And then I have a lot of other ideas. A lot of them you can see I haven't even put books into. Some of them I have, some of them I haven't. And then the one on the right is videos that I have started already. So my intimidating reads, as you can see, and yes, the colors mean different things. The only one that isn't set up like this is I do have this video that I am currently working on. I have it so that it's linked to something else because I needed it to have its own page so that I could track different information about each of these books. I'm not going to show you that right now though. but you can see all the different things that I have read and what I need to read. So the colors are basically broken down to: green is I own it, have it, there's no excuse for me not to have read it. Yellow or orange, whatever you want to call that, is like my library has it, I can easily access it some way like that. The red at the bottom means that I made a good chunk through the book and then stopped reading it. Next, I have my 5-star predictions. So this video was released, right here, June 2021. A lot of times I will write that there, and then I'm eventually going to be doing another one. And all that I track here is whether or not the book has been published, the name of the book, why I thought it would be a 5-star prediction, what I ended up rating it, and as you can see, the rating average is very low. To be fair, I do put DNFs in here as a 0. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. And then I also track how I'm going to read it. So if it's read, it's marked as read. If I owned it and it hadn't been read yet, it would still say owned. I should change all of these to read, honestly. Oh, here are all the options. So it's library, to buy physical, owned already, to buy audio, to be decided, which usually means I'm going to see if my library will have it, and if my library doesn't have it, then I will buy it, read, or DNF'd. And then finally, my owned not read tracker, which took me a long time to work out how I wanted this to be done. I do use Goodreads to track my owned and not read books as well, and I do like the chart that I have here. And there, but I use both of them for different reasons. I use the one on Goodreads so that I can just see what books I have. I can see an overall number. This, I track all books I have ever purchased. I think I started tracking this sometime in 2021. I do have a filter on. So the filter is that as soon as I check either DNF, read, special edition purchase, so if I buy a second edition of a book, which is very rare, or if I buy a book because it is like a special thing. So I have a Sherlock Holmes collection. I'm not going to read all of the books that I buy for my Sherlock Holmes collection. It can be put on there. Or if I unhaul it, I can check those. And if any of those get checked, the book disappears from the list. It is still here. I'm not going to clear my filter because it takes a while to get this filter back up, and Notion, for whatever reason, doesn't have a really easy way for you to put your filters like on or off. I wish like I could check on my filter, check off my filter, and it would like save as that filter. Maybe if I purchased it, it would. And then I have it descending or ascending by the year. So, oh my goodness, I'm getting sick and tired of that thing on the side popping up. So that means that the longer I've had the book, the closer to the top it is. And then also I have them divided by month. This one that says no month is actually my arcs. It will not let me change this. Wait, will it? No, it will not let me change this. But you can see I have 14 arcs here. And if I were to check one of them off, let's do A Course of Dragons. If I were to have said, oh, I read A Course of Dragons, I check it, it disappears. I can just hit Control Z though, so it'll come back. It doesn't go to the bottom or anything. It goes to the filtered section. So I can still get to it. I can still see all of the books that I have ever DNF'd that I had originally purchased. And I can see the books that I have pre-ordered here. And as you can see, since it's a pre-order, it's at the bottom. So every single month when I buy books, I just come in here and add them. Like right now is May. I can see that I have no books in May that I've owned for more than a year. I can see once I hit June though, there is one book that I have on this list that I have owned for more than a year. So I really need to either read this or take it off of my own shelf, unhaul it, get rid of it. That's how I like to keep books. I don't like to have them more than a year. These are the books I have, and you have to hit 3 more every single time. I wish it would keep it open. And I am just trying to keep these books read from 2021 before I get to that month. So that is how I track all of my reading. And then when I go to make my statistics for the end of the month, these little charts, let me show you one really quickly here. So I make these cute little graphs. I actually make 4 now every single month, not 2. I use Canva. So when I rate books, this is information I promised you earlier. All I do is I come in here, let's look at Forest of Souls. And I, at the bottom of the page, keep a call pile. G from Book Roast created call pile. And so it's right here, and it's out of 5. And so I can give like a 4.5 or 4.25 or whatever, but I'm rating character, atmosphere, writing, plot, intrigue, logic, enjoyment. I can also keep notes right here if I wanted to, which I do often do, but Oftentimes when I am reviewing a book, I am looking right here at this list and I know why I gave this a 4.5. Pop up, and then down here I get a rating. So I usually round it up if it's a 5 or higher. So let's see if I did it on this one. I did, so I gave it a 4.4 instead of a 4.3, and then I keep track of this, and I like to reference back those numbers because I can see like which books actually did a lot better than other books. Anyways, that's everything. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that this was helpful for you. I don't have anything else to say to you all. I hope you're having a great day, and I don't remember how my outro goes, but until next time, I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye.